Tao Te Ching. Chapter 1. Chapter 1 is the Heavenly Tao. The original Chinese text is the text below. This chapter is the author Lao Tzu's description of the overall concept of Tao, which represents a worldview. The world in Tao Te Ching was created by a force called Tao. Tao is dynamic and constantly changing. Human cognitive ability cannot fully comprehend it. However, as humans, we can use two states of named and nameless to understand Tao. Today, we will learn the following two sentences. The first Tao is a noun, representing the Tao of heaven and the universe. The second Tao is a verb, representing compliance. Fei represents negation and inability. Heng Tao represents constant and unchanging. Now we will learn the following two sentences. The first Ming is a noun, representing all things, the physical world of tangible matter. The second Ming is a verb, representing description and perception. Fei represents negation and inability. Heng Ming represents constant and unchanging, which can also be interpreted as complete or all-encompassing. Whole sentence translation: the heavenly Tao, Tian Dao, refers to the rules of the universe that can be followed by all living beings. However, the Tian Dao is not eternal and unchanging. All things in the world have their own forms and attributes that can be observed and perceived by humans. However, the forms that things take on are not eternal, and what humans can perceive is not all-encompassing. Nan's comments, heavenly Tao, refers to the rules of the universe. Since it is a rule, it can be followed by all living beings. It can be understood as acting according to the rules of heavenly Tao, but acting according to the rules of heavenly Tao is not unchanging and cannot be too attached. Because heavenly Tao itself is not eternal and unchanging, it is impossible for humans to predict all of heavenly Tao. All things in the world have their own forms and attributes. As humans, we can observe and perceive them through the forms and attributes that they exhibit. However, human perception is limited and can only perceive a part of the dimensions. It is impossible for humans to completely and comprehensively understand all information about everything in the world. Wu Ming represents an imperceptible state. Wan Wu represent everything in the world. Shi represents the moment when life has just begun to conceive. Yu Ming represents a perceptible concrete form. Wan Wu represent everything in the world. Mu represents motherhood, used as a metaphor for nurturing babies. Before all things in the world were born, the world was in a nameless and formless chaotic state. Tao is the beginning of all things in the world and is the driving force that propels everything from growth to concrete form. Just like how a mother nurtures her baby, Tao is the driving force that propels everything from Wu Ming to Yu Ming state. Nan's comments, interpretation of Wu Ming, does not mean nothingness, but rather represents a state without a specific perceptible form. However, it contains all the key information that allows everything to grow. This state is called Wu Ming. For example, humans come from fertilized eggs formed by sperm and eggs. However, the initial fertilized egg does not have human features such as facial features and limbs, but it contains all of human DNA and genetic information, which determines that it will become a specific person later on. The state of the fertilized egg can be called Shai, interpretation of a mu. Motherhood is a metaphor. Lao Tzu used motherhood to nurture babies to correspond to how Tao propels everything from Wu Ming to Yu Ming. In Lao Tzu's worldview of Tao Te Ching, he believed that the world was not a result of chance, but was created by an intangible force. This force is infinite and mysterious, and humans cannot fully perceive it. Lao Tzu named this intangible force as Tao. This idea laid the foundation for Tao Te Ching. The main theme throughout Tao Te Ching is to guide human social daily activities, human Tao, by studying the laws of Tao, heavenly Tao. Heng represents, often, Wu Yu, represents no desire, purity, empty state of mind. Guan is a verb, representing observation and appreciation. Miao represents the mystery of Tao. Yu represents maintaining one's subjective consciousness and professional knowledge. Qi is a pronoun that represents Tao here, Jiao, represents the law of operation, whole sentence translation. People should maintain a pure and empty state of mind and use intuition to feel the subtle operation of Tao. At the same time, they also need to combine their own knowledge and rationally and objectively analyze to understand the law of operation of things around them. Nan's comments. There are two states of observing things: no desire and having desire. No desire remove personal subjective bias and use intuition to feel things around you. Lao Tzu believed that in the initial state of all things, there is no form that human senses can perceive. Only Tao is pushing the growth of all things in the dark. As a person, only by maintaining a state of emptiness and purity, this state is no desire, can you perceive the existence of Tao. This is a magical experience, but it is indeed my own experience. When I was doing scientific research as a graduate student, some creative and feasible design ideas were more likely to emerge between 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Now, getting up early to read books, study, and think from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock has become my habit. I will use this time to learn new knowledge. Having desire means that people live in society. When looking at the same thing, they have independent thoughts and unique perspectives and angles. These are all indispensable in life. Therefore, we also need to use rational thinking and professional knowledge to reason and examine things around us. In real social life, people learn to flexibly use the wisdom of two states, no desire and having desire, to observe things around them. Then this person will be wiser, decisions will be more accurate, and behavior will be closer to Tao. Ci Liang Zhe is a pronoun that represents named and unnamed. Tong Chu means that they both come from the Tao. Yi Tong Wei means that although they have different names, they are essentially the same. Xvan is an adjective that describes a spiral structure similar to a rope or DNA. Gu represents repetition. Zhong represents all. Miao represents fine and subtle. Men represents door, entrance, or path. Whole sentence translation. These two states are both from the Tao, but they have different names. They are essentially the same. The state of the Tao is like a repeating spiral structure that is fine and subtle. To understand this state of the Tao is to perceive the path of the Tao. Full chapter translation. Tian Tao refers to the rules of the universe that can be followed by all living beings. However, Tian Tao is not eternal and unchanging. All things in the world have their own forms and properties that can be observed and perceived by humans. However, the forms of all things in the world are not eternal, and what humans can perceive is not everything. Before all things were created, the world was a nameless and formless chaotic state. The Tao is the beginning of all things in the world, and is the driving force behind everything from growth to specific forms. It's like a mother giving birth to a baby. Therefore, there are two ways to perceive the Tao. One way is to maintain a pure and empty state and use intuition to feel the subtle operation of the Tao. The other way is to combine personal knowledge with rational and objective analysis to observe the operating rules of surrounding things. The two states of named and nameless both come from the Tao, but they have different names. They are essentially the same. The state of the Tao is like a repeating spiral structure that is fine and subtle. To understand this state of the Tao is to perceive the path of the Tao. Chapter summary. This chapter is a general description of the Tao by the author Lao Tzu, which shows a worldview. The world in the Tao Te Ching is created by a force called the Tao. The Tao drives the growth of all things, and this driving force runs through the entire process from things that are unknown to humans to things that are known and felt by humans. The Tao drives the growth of all things, and this driving force runs through the entire process from things that are unknown to humans to things that are known and felt by humans. The Tao is dynamic, constantly changing, extremely fine and subtle, and has two states of named and nameless. As humans, we can use two states of without desire and with desire to perceive the existence of the Tao.